from Hollywood and the four corners of the world. You asked for it. Starring Rich Little. Here's the star of You Asked For It, Rich Little.
Thank you, and welcome to the only show on television that brings you the world into your living room just because you asked for it. Tonight, take a ride on the Scream Machine. Fly through the air with the queen of the sway pole. Learn the secrets of a castle built for love and much more. First up, an exclusive look at a giant roller coaster known as the Scream Machine. Jack Smith takes us behind the scenes to learn what makes this scary, twisting, curving roller coaster frightening yet safe. Let's go to Atlanta. Beverly King of Comer, Georgia, you asked for it.
No one knows exactly why people love roller coasters, especially the Scream Machine, which is one of the scariest rides in the country. If these people could see what happens to the Scream Machine at dawn, perhaps they wouldn't be so terrified. It does look menacing, rising some 12 stories in the air, but a ride on this coaster is safer than driving in a car. No roller coaster has left its tracks in the United States since 1915. These are some of the men responsible for that remarkable safety record. This is Nelson Boyd, chief engineer at Six Flags, who has been here since sunup, watching James, an expert mechanic, go over a train car. The secret of safety is daily inspection and maintenance, and Nelson closely supervises the upkeep of the Scream Machine. Each day, every single part of the rides is checked by experts. And if anything is even slightly askew, the ride is closed down. It won't open again till Nelson is completely satisfied. Doug and Tom, who are carpenters, walk around the three-quarter-mile track each day. They are definitely health nuts, but it's the public's health that they're concerned about. Their sharp eyes examine every inch of rail, and they immediately replace any wood or metal that seems to be wearing out. Over 2 million people ride the coaster each year, and the stresses on the wooden structure are enormous. As long as men like Doug and Tom do their job, the frame can handle loads many times heavier than the maximum ever allowed on the tracks. While Doug and Tom are walking on top of the world, James squeezes underneath the tracks to inspect the bottom of the cars. With the help of the ride supervisor, he carefully checks for axle and structural damage, and he'll replace the brakes in a car if they wear to less than 3/16 of an inch. Johnny then checks the safety switches spaced along the route. The devices automatically halt the train if it gets too close to another. The ride operator can also stop it in case of an emergency. Doug and Tom finally finish their hike. It takes nearly an hour for them to make the trip. The last safety check is an actual 60-mile-per-hour spin around the track, a great way to wake up in the morning. Nelson and Johnny know every turn and tremor of the track and can instantly tell if anything is amiss. One final brake check before they get to the summit, and they'll coast all the way back. The The ride supervisor will also hop on the scream machine at least once an hour all day long. All this preparation and care just because Nelson wants you to scream for joy, not from pain. Well, everything is A-OK. It's going to be a shrieking good day for roller coaster fans because they and you asked for it.
I haven't seen that many twists, curves, and dips since the annual Dolly Parton look-alike contest. This is Boris Karloff. You know, when I was making movies, I made a scream machine. It was probably the most horrible, frightening, dastardly creation of my career. It was my face. And no one had to walk it once a day, either. I think it walked itself. Coming up next, from England, a psychiatrist whose practice has gone to the dogs. We shall return.
And now back to Rich Little.
Does your dog howl at the wrong time? Is your poodle peckish? Is your sheepdog sheepish? Well, don't worry, the problem might be caused by stress. And a session on the couch with a good psychiatrist could be the cure. Dr. Roger A. Mugford, a consultant and animal behavior living in London, England, is specializing in analyzing neurotic pets. Our Margaret Davies makes a house call on England's only pet psychiatrist because Teresa Williamson of Mount Vernon, New York, you asked for it.
It's not uncommon these days for people to see a psychologist. However, when Rosie Feeson of London, England sought professional help, her best friend and guardian, Alan Feeson, contacted Dr. Roger Mugford. Rosie would have called herself, but you see, Rosie's a dog, and Dr. Mugford is a pet psychologist.
Rosie looks a nice dog, but what's the problem that she presents to you?
Well, the problem is really I'm an actor and a musician. And as soon as I start playing, she sings along with me.
Could you demonstrate it to me so that I can watch the behavior? It's obviously very unusual.
Yes, hold on.
She's either stressed and in pain from the noise, or she just wants to join in and reinforce.
In this case, Dr. Mugford suggests taking Rosie's attention away from howling by feeding her doggy tidbits before she gets a chance to react to the music.
Less effort on the
This
punishment.
reinforces good behavior, being quiet, that is, rather than any form of punishment for bad behavior.
I like to visit the owner and their pets at their homes because that way I see the whole animal in its natural environment. So he's certainly still growling. He doesn't like being handled still.
No, he doesn't. And
This is Tim, an apricot poodle who has developed some bizarre behavior connected to cigarette smoke.
Well, he has a...
Dr. Mugford believes that many symptoms of this nature are attention-getting devices.
With a dominant dog like Tim, you have to go right back to first principles in rejigging a relationship. Me teaching Erna, the owner, how to act in a more dominant way, not necessarily being violent or hitting the dog at all, but, for instance, winning confrontations.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, they...
This irritable little guy's name is Muttley, and Muttley has a big problem. He loves people, but when it comes to dogs, look out. Dr. Muckford says Muttley's barking is just his way of getting Sue Grant, his owner's attention.
When you have a dog like Muttley, you have to go and rebuild a much stronger relationship over him, and also watch him and put more effort into rewarding him for good behavior than into trying to discipline him and hit him and do all the conventional sorts of things.
Is that what the problem is, do you think?
Sit.
Obviously, Muttley needs a few more sessions with the doctor. But with more time and effort, there yet might be a happy ending to this tale. And all because, Teresa Williamson of Mount Vernon, New York, you asked for it.
Oh, hi, this is Goofy. I went to see Dr. Mugford, you know, but he didn't tell me anything I don't know. I'm still Goofy.
I can't believe I make my living doing this. And now it's time for Jack Smith, another classic segment from the past. Here's Jack.
Thank you, Rich. We've all heard of the Queen of the Maypole, but back in 1955, we filmed a lady daredevil known as the Queen of the Sway Pole. Joe Brown had an unusual circus act that featured a flimsy pole 190 feet high, a 500-foot slide for life, and no safety net. One look and you'll see why Joe Brown was considered circus royalty. This young lady is a perfectionist. Notice during her entire act how gracefully she handles herself. Even our cameraman gets into the act. He had to climb even higher than Joe Brown to make this unique shot possible. She's reached the platform where the cable is extended. Now she goes up the sway pole, just 1/8 of an inch in thickness. She'll continue on up to the height of 190 feet above the sidewalk. This is her exclusive domain. Most of us shiver at even the thought of climbing up there, but not so with Joe Brown. The wind itself is strong enough to sway the pole, enough to make us dizzy, but she will purposely sway it back and forth. A 10-foot sway. Now a 12-foot sway. Now a 30-foot sway. Back and forth. Back and forth. Now down a mere 30 feet to the platform. From there, she'll prepare for her dramatic slide. She'll place her neck in a circular leather strap and come hurtling from 500 feet down that cable toward us and end almost in a dead stop with terrific impact. Now in slow motion. Yes, Alex Stockton, Joe Brown's smashing finish from her sway pole in the sky. You asked for it. know, believe it or not, Rich, the key to that whole act was a device called a chrome molly. It was only 2 inches in diameter and had a wall thickness of less than 25/100ths of an inch. That's what allowed the pole to sway.
Well, I still wouldn't do it, and nothing you can say will sway me. I'll do my swinging at the Playboy Club.
With or without a net.
Definitely a net. We'll be right back with a story of a castle built for a lost love.
And now back to Rich Little.
Love is the most powerful force in the world. It can start wars. It can even end them. It can move mountains. Near Miami, Florida, there's a magnificent castle built entirely of giant coral stones. The massive structure was built by one man, Ed Lietzelem, for the woman he loved. How did he do it? Well, the secret died with him, but the structure stands as a monument to the power of love. Our Danny Fouquet tells us the story of this wizard of Coral Castle because Mr. and Mrs. Curtis Lawyer of Kissimmee, Florida, you asked for it.
A lot of people call this the Castle of Love. It's a gigantic monument in memory of one of the most bizarre love stories of our time. This castle is the product of one man's lifetime of hard labor, designed to win back the girl of his dreams. Ed was born in Latvia. As a young man, he was to wed Agnes Scuffs, whom he always referred to as Sweet 16. On the eve of their marriage, she jilted him and ran off with another man. Lead Scalnan was deeply wounded, and he fled to America to mend his broken heart. Settling in southern Florida, he decided to win Sweet 16 back by building her a huge palace made completely out of coral. Lead Scalnan surrounded it with a trench and 8-foot-high walls. The blocks of stone in the walls weigh 6 tons each, more than twice the weight of an average stone found in the pyramids. He began in 1920 and toiled for over 30 years, magically moving rocks that weighed up to 35 tons all by himself. He told people that he had rediscovered the secrets of the ancient Egyptians, but his knowledge died with him back in 1951. This 9-ton swinging gate is perfectly balanced to pivot on an old truck axle. Engineers are baffled at how he found the balancing point of the huge porous stone. Since he was really serious about dazzling Sweet 16, he filled the castle with furniture and art carved from coral. He made sure that she would never be embarrassed by other women boasting about their home furnishings. He made her an outdoor stove for evening barbecues. He put in a bathtub that was solar heated. And he put plenty of tables and chairs around for her comfort. Even though Ed envisioned a life of hearts and roses, he also knew that there might be a little bit of trouble in paradise. So he built something that he knew would keep Sweet 16 in her place. This is a stockade. Ed designed this so that he could keep Sweet 16 still for a few moments while he lectured to her. To make up for the time Sweet 16 would spend in the stockade, Ed decided to give her a gift that would warm any woman's heart. So he carved her this beautiful heart-shaped table, which Ripley's, believe it or not, lists as the world's largest valentine, and it weighs 5,000 pounds. And because he said he didn't have enough time to pick her flowers every day, he placed this beautiful Ixora plant right in the center. And he knew she'd love the sighting telescope that he invented. She could instantly line up the North Star by matching the cross wires in these 2 holes. He wanted them to spend long evenings together as stargazing lovers. You know, with all this hard work and effort, I'm sorry to report that Sweet 16 never did marry Ed. In fact, she never came to visit this beautiful castle that he built for her. But her loss is our gain. This castle is testimony to sweethearts everywhere of the astounding power of love.
I love, yeah, it's a wonderful thing, wonderful.
Hi, this is W.C. Fields. I remember I tried to build a castle for my little chickadee once.
I made it entirely out of gin bottles. It didn't work out, though. She got the castle. All I got was a hangover.
Rich Little will be right back with more of You Asked For It. And now back to Rich Little.
That's our show for tonight. See you next time on... Good night, everybody.
This is John Harlan speaking. You Asked For It is a Sandy Frank production.